Okay, let's go for one more. Name. Let's go for something a little bit more conventional. Siripala. Siripala is from... He's from London. Why? Did you not meet him while he was there? Siripala is from London. His favorite food is pasta. His favorite song is what's his favorite song? Country? Country Homes, right. His best friend's name is Ajit. He likes... Come on, we've got to put the obvious. I mean, right, come on, right? Yeah, okay. Others, just going to leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth, right? You're all going to walk away going, oh, Saminas didn't say, write down that word. I just don't feel like today it was worthwhile coming to the sermon. You're going to walk away like that. Okay, and his favorite color is, go for green. Okay, right. So 3 people have just spoken on the topic of myself. They were asked to speak about themselves, but actually when you look at this list, what they've really been doing is given us a list of the things that belong to them. So they'll say, this is my name. In other words, this name belongs to me. That's my name. This is my town. This is my favorite food. This is my favorite song, my best friend, my favorite sport, and my favorite color. So although we have asked them to talk about themselves, what they have really done is given us a list of the things that belong to them. Okay. Now, all good so far? Yeah? Okay, we are trying to understand this concept of the self and how it is. In the creation of the self, you actually do things more than you intend to. I'm trying to help you realize that suffering is self-made. Suffering is what made? Oh, really? Okay, we'll see. Suffering is? Okay, we'll see. We'll see. We're trying to understand what the self is. What is this we call self? And you're telling me suffering is self-made. So what are the ingredients for suffering then? What do you think? It's self-made. Okay, well, let's hold on to that question. We'll try and figure it out. All right. Now let's take one of these guys. I'm going to pick a different color. Let's say Natasha. Now let's go with Siripala. So Siripala, who lives in London, likes pasta, listens to Country Homes, who's Ajit's best friend. Oh, his best friend is Ajit. And he likes cricket, and his favorite color is green. Now, here's a question to you. If you ever ask Siripala, shall we go and play? Let's go play. We've got some free time, let's go play. What do you think his preference would be in terms of what he wants to play? Cricket. That's his favorite sport. So if ever you mention the word, let's go play, let's go do some sport, what comes to his mind is always cricket. That's the first preference. It may be that he's played enough cricket today, but now he wants to do something else. That can happen. But let's not complicate this overly, because we can explain those things, but we'll address them later on. So again, actually one other thing I want to emphasize now is, as we talk about these concepts, try and keep your thinking to within the remit that I am talking. If you try and extend this much beyond the remit that I'm talking to you, then you will lose the plot. Right? So if I say, let's just think about this, and you start, I'm talking about Siripala, you're already thinking about Peter, you will lose the plot. Then you'll be asking all these questions in your mind, and you won't be able to get the point that I'm trying to get across to you. So let's try and limit our thinking to the remit that I'm going to be talking to you about. Is that a fair ask? Okay. So if you ask Siripala, what would you like to play? He's going to say cricket, right? That's his first preference. If you ask Siripala, I'm going to buy a t-shirt. What color would you like me to get you one, sir? What's he going to say? Green. He's going to say green. Why is that? Because his favorite color is green. So of all of the colors there are in this world, his favorite color is green. In other words, whenever you say the word color, what comes to mind? Green comes to mind. So if we were to define Siripala, we are trying to define Siripala. Okay? What are we trying to do? We're trying to define Siripala. So let's say someone asks, do you know Siripala? I say, yes, I do know Siripala. Who is Siripala? How would you introduce Siripala to someone? This is Siripala. In other words, you are saying this is his name. Siripala lives in London. So again, you're talking about something that belongs to him. This is his town. So when you introduce Siripala to somebody, when you're defining Siripala, you're going to have to go by the same way he defined himself. So really, this is the definition of the self. In other words, you define yourself by the things that belong to you. So even when you define Siripala, you're going to have to define him by the things that belong to him. A categorical list of everything that belongs to Siripala is Siripala. That is Siripala. So let's say we wipe off the face of this earth this town called London. Okay? So we're just going to wipe it off the face of this earth. That's not Brexit, that's Uxit. UK out of the planet. Okay? Not Brexit, Uxit. So London or Lexit, Loxit, whatever sit, we get London off the face of the earth. We also take pasta out. Pasta is no longer a food that is going to be served. Certainly not on this planet. So pasta's gone. We ban country homes. Right, so we bring out rules and regulations, and country homes can no longer be played. So, and that number, that song is removed. No one can listen to that. We also extradite Ajit. Ajit we sent to the moon. So Siripala now no longer has a best friend. We also ban cricket. And about half of Sri Lanka's population commits suicide. You find that in the news. And you also remove the color green from the color spectrum. Okay? Do you understand what we just done there? Okay. Now who's Siripala? Now who's Siripala? I'm asking who's Siripala? You can't talk about pasta. Why? There is no such thing called pasta. You can't talk about the fact that he lives in London because there is no such town called London. He could live somewhere, but his town. So this is an abstract concept. You could say, well, if you take London out of the map, then of course you can go and live in Manchester. Now that's not what I'm talking about. This is an abstract concept. So if you just try and go along with me, we remove London off the face of the earth, and he can't go anywhere else. Now, how can you introduce Siripala to somebody? Who is Siripala? Now you have nothing to define him with. Because all of the things that belong to him have now been removed off the face of this earth. So if you ask now, who is Siripala? There is no Siripala. You can no longer define Siripala. You can no longer define Siripala. I want you to start thinking, how does one define an Arahant? Okay? Easy. Don't go for a double jump. I'll throw questions from time to time. I just wanted to think about it. And ideally don't shout out answers because it might interrupt someone else's thinking. Because as I said, this is a little bit heavy, but I think there are at least one or two people here who's ready for this. We've been talking about these concepts in the Sinhala sermons for a long time now. And I've been trying to think, how do we introduce this to an audience where, in the singular sermons, we hardly get young children. Maybe one or two of them, and usually they'll play back in the yard or, come and sit down to the sermons because they've been listening to the sermons for a long time. So I want to make this clear and understood to everybody in this audience as best as I can. Okay, so don't worry. Let's go step by step. Let's retrace our steps once more, just to make sure we're all on board up until this point. We asked 3 people to talk about what? Engage with me as best you can. Myself. We asked 3 people to talk about myself. So 3 people stood up and they all started to talk about themselves. They started off by saying, my name is Peter. The other one said, my name is Natasha. And the third person said, my name is Siripala. And then they went on to talk about themselves. And every time they said something, everything they said was ultimately something that belonged to them. They were sharing a list of the things that belonged to them. That's how they were defining themselves. Are you all with me up until this point? Right? They're all defining themselves. So now, if we go back to Siripala, and we pull out the list of things that he said belong to him, and then we check them all off, we cross them off. Now, who is Siripala? There's no longer a Siripala. You can't define Siripala anymore. We haven't killed Siripala. So as I said, this is an abstract concept. But if you ask somebody, who is Siripala? There was Siripala you could define a moment ago. Before London was wiped off the face of the planet, you could define him. Let's say we took pasta, the song, the friend, the sport, and the color, all of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 5 of them out, but we just left the town. You could still have said, oh, Siripala is that guy who lives in London. You could still have said that, and maybe nothing more than that, because everything else we have taken off. Or if we had left just the sport and taken out everything else, now you could perhaps not define him as Siripala who lives in London, or Siripala who likes pasta, or Siripala whose friend is Ajit, but you could have still said Siripala is that guy who likes cricket. Right? But what we've done now is we've taken all of the things that he said belong to him out, leaving him no way to describe himself, no way to define himself. Now, what does that tell us then about the self? We are using an example here. I want you to begin to ask yourself, who are you then? Ask yourself this question. Who are you? Because if I'd asked one of you to do this, you would have said the same thing. My name, and you would have given something out. But you're not talking about self. You're actually talking about something that belongs to you. And that something might have been something that was given to you, like your name. You didn't decide on your name. Your name was given to you, but having been given to you, now it's yours, right? That's why I said, that's my name. You see a list of names on a sheet of paper and you go, oh, that's my name there. Oh, that sportsman, he's got the same name as me. And he's got my name. That's how you identify, that's how you recognize. Or you say, oh, he's got the same color hair as I. He's got the same, my hair, my color, my hair. So that's how we relate to others. Something that belongs to somebody else, something that belongs to me, now we compare these two things. And we say, we are like them, or we are not like them. Oh, I can't tell because I just don't have enough information yet. Isn't this how we relate to others? And you might say, well, I'm male. How can you say that is something that belongs to you? Well, my sex is male. Okay. How about your height? Well, my height, my weight, my complexion, my blood type. See? Right from your physical attributes to those that were given to you, ultimately, we are a list of things that belong to us. So then, if you take out this belongingness, and it's just a list, how do you find yourself in a vast array of lots of names? So there's just names. Imagine that, there's just a pool of names. Where are you in that? Unless you can say, that's my name. If you can't say, for instance, let's take Siripala again. And we whack him on his head. Right? With a stick, we whack him on his head, and now he's lost his memory. Now go and ask him, who are you? How is he going to talk about himself? He say, actually, yeah, who am I? Because he won't know his name, he won't be able to recall it. He won't know where he's from. If you guys watch that movie called Kartik Calling Kartik, you got to watch it. It's beautiful. It's an old Hindi movie. I remember watching it while, I used to be a fanatic of movies, right? I didn't like Hindi movies, but my spouse did. So for every English movie, we had to watch a Hindi movie. That's how it worked. So anyway, there's a movie called Kartik Calling Kartik. And what happens in that story is the guy wakes up in the morning and he gets a call. So he just gets a call. He wakes up in fact, he's woken up by this call. So he answers the phone, and then there's a voice on the other end of the line. So it doesn't respond to him, it just keeps on talking. The voice at the other end of the line. He says, I'm Kartik, and I'm from this town. So say, I'm from Hyderabad. I live at this place. This is where I work. And I have a wardrobe where you will find these clothes. I have 3 pairs of shoes, 2 black, 1 brown. I wear socks of these colors, and you will find them in a drawer. So he goes on, this voice at the end of the line keeps on talking. So this guy, he freaks out because he's not responding, this voice is not responding to his questions, but he just keeps on talking. So after a while, he just hangs up at the end of this conversation. So he spends the day, and he wakes up the following morning again to the sound of the phone ringing. And then the same thing repeats. And it happens every day. Happens every day. So towards the end of the story, do you want to know why it works like that? Do you want to know? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. Is that okay? Why are you looking so vexed? Chill out. See, you're curious now, huh? Okay, I'll relieve you of your vexations. So at the end of the story, we find out that actually Kartik has memory loss. So he doesn't recall the events of the previous day when he wakes up in the morning. So therefore what he does is before he hits bed, he records a phone call and he saves it for himself so that he knows who he is when he wakes up in the morning. Brilliant storyline, isn't it? I know what you're going to be doing next weekend. No, forget the meditation. Next Sunday, we are going to have very few people, so I think we can probably call off the sermon. Wonderful story, but there's an important thing we can take from that story. Because Kartik forgets who he is. If Kartik gets a visitor and he opens the door, because there's a noise coming, he doesn't know that this is a door even. But say he opens the door and he finds out there's a guy standing outside. It might be his mother, but he has no memory of her. So therefore, he's not going to be able to relate or recognize this person. So therefore, is this your mother? I don't know. Who are you? I don't know. Because do we not define ourselves by who our mother is? In school, when asked, Puta, who are you? Oh, I am so-and-so's son. I'm so-and-so's son. Now when you walk into an office and you want to get something done, come on. I'm so-and-so's. I'm so-and-so's. You're talking about all your relationships and connections. That person doesn't even know you exist on this earth, but you'll still say, I'm so-and-so's. I work at so-and-so's place, right? I washed his plate once. Whatever, yeah? So you try to define yourself by the things that belong to you. Okay, so the same concept applies here. So if we were then to wipe out all the things that belong to you, then who are you? Here's the question. And I'm not going to just stop here because there's something more interesting to follow on. But I want you all to be at the same on a level playing field so we can continue from this point forward. Who are you? Because what you're telling me is you are a list of all the things that belong to you. If we were to take out all those things, now who are you? How can you say, I am so and so? You can't even say your name, you can't say how old you are, because again, that is my age. My age. So when you're saying, I am 65, what you're saying is, my age is 65. That's my age. So everything's my after all. So take out 65 from the number sequence. So you have 61, 62, 63, 64, 66. You take out 65. After all, 65 is a convention, right? People made that stuff up. So take out 65 from the number line. Now, tell me, who are you? My name, oh God. I am. See, you're lost. You'd be lost for words. You wouldn't know how to describe yourself. Is something making sense? Right? So think about, who are you then? You will have a name, but is that you or is that your name? That's what I want to think about. You will have a profession. Most of you will be working. Is that you or is that your job? Your occupation and your profession? You will say, I went to this school. I'm an old boy or an old girl of this school. So again, you're saying is, my school is this or my school was that. Again, you're talking about my things. Now, let's okay. Let's go with pasta. Okay. So I'm now trying to take you one step further to try and explain something based on what we have already talked about. Okay. That was chapter 1. This is chapter 1.1. We haven't actually gone to chapter 2 yet. This is 1.1. Pasta. Right? We're talking about pasta now. Whenever you talk to this person about food, let's say, Siripala, shall we go out for dinner tonight? What's he going to say? Sure. Where shall we go? Pasta joint. He wants to go have pasta. So whenever you talk to him about food, what comes to his mind is pasta. Again, I admit there'll be quite a few things in his list. So if it's not pasta, there's going to be a second choice. Again, that's also something that defines him. Right? This is my first choice. This is my second choice. This is my third choice. This is my fourth choice. Yeah, every time you're saying my, again, this is a list of things that belong to you. So my favorite food is pasta. What you're saying is, whenever you say the word food, pasta is what comes to mind. Whenever you say the word sport, cricket is what comes to mind. Whenever you say friend, Ajit is who comes to mind. Whenever you say town, London is what comes to mind. So then tell me, if what is the sweetest word that you know? The sweetest word, the word that you like to hear all the time? Yeah? Your name? Money? Oh, me, okay. Our names. So when you say me, of course, that's our names. Right? Do you not get offended when someone mispronounces your name by one syllable? By one syllable? Happened to me all the time when we first went to the UK. They never got it right. They'd always shuffle the last two syllables. They always shuffled that. Yeah, so my lay name was Vimukti. And instead of saying Vimukti, they always said Vimutki. It would drive me up the wall. So I said, no, it's Vimukti. Okay, can you spell it for me? They'd say. I say, yeah, it's Vimukthi. Vimutki. It would really annoy me. Do you not get offended like that? When your name is mispronounced, sometimes it's just one syllable. So if, say, Siripala's name was read, Siripola, Now, excuse me, I'm not Siripola, I'm Siripala. He will make it a point to rectify the error then and there. I mean, people are obsessed about the title that goes in front of their name, right? Let alone their name. So what talk is there to do about their name? If it says Mr. instead of Doctor, people get offended. What is there to talk about the name then? Right? So clearly, this word that everyone loves, if there's just one word that I'm going to let you hear, that you listen to, chances are you'll say, okay, that last word has to be my name. Because that is what we have come to learn to like and to love. That's what was given to us. And our parents called us by that name, and they doted us, and they fondled us, and they cuddled us, and all the time they said our names out loud. Putta, this is your name, this is your name. Do you know what your name means? And they always praised us by using our name. Instead of, do you respond to oi and your name in the same way? No, of course not. You know clearly that they're talking to you. Hey, oi, come here. But no, if they said, Siripal, come here, you will go in a more pleasant mind than if called by the word oi. And you know they're talking to you, but oi doesn't make you happy. But say your name and you're happy. So I'm trying to make a point here. I'm not just, this is not just trying to try and crack a joke. I want to make a point here. Of all of the names, right? If we were to make a universal set of all the names that ever existed and exists today, of all of those names, there's one name that always stands out for you. There's one name that always stands out to you, and that name is my name. When you look at a photograph and you know you're in it, where do your eyes go immediately? If it's a photograph of your graduation, or even if it's a wedding, your own wedding picture. You say, the person I love the most in this world is my husband or my wife. But when presented to you with a picture of your wedding, you on the photo, whose face do you look at first? So clearly, it's not your spouse you love the most in this world. Your face is what you like most. You look at you first. There's ego in here, right? But let's not use that word for now because we don't want to complicate things, but I'm just trying to help you grapple this concept of self. So you see, if I were to give you a picture and there are 100 faces, and I tell you, you may be there in this picture, you won't stop until you've done what? Found your face. If it's a school gathering, reunion, and say someone send you some pictures, you know immediately you're going to try and spot your name in there. It's just very natural. See, there's a reason for that. So this is the interesting bit here. Your face is the face that you like to see more than any other face. Your name is the name that you like to hear more than any other name. For Siripala, pasta is the food that he likes to eat more than any other food. Cricket is the game that he likes to watch or play more than any others. What that means is, that is what he believes makes him happy. So your name, when you listen to it, makes you happy more than when you hear somebody else's name. Whatever your favorite food is, you say this is my favorite food because you believe that that's the item of food that makes you happy the most. Is that not true?